The most prestigious Czech and Slovak virtual racing series is back. 20 of the best drivers from Czechia and Slovakia. 12 races at some of the most famous circuits in the world. Who is going to become the new champion? This is the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2022 season. Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2022 season. It's time for the penultimate round in the GT3 cars and the 5th round of this 12-race calendar. My name is Justin Sutton and joining me today, it is of course Chris Buxton.
Back onto my home territory, this time the wonderful Donington Park. Such a flowing circuit, huge elevation change top to bottom, and a number of corners ready to catch out our drivers. Championship standing, Štefanko has taken the top spot. We have someone with different initials on the top step for quite a long time. Lukáš Přáda and Lukáš Buxton are not far behind, ready to do battle, but everybody in the series has scored points other than, ironically, Pavel Štefanko has been replaced by Aleš Danda. The returning Aleš Danda has taken that spot in the Benzina Orlen car, and there he is. Was driving for Puma. I believe he's now in the Benzina Orlen vehicle, so ready to do battle. ERT at the top of the spot, but only just. The Přáda brothers doing a great job, but they are being chased hotly by the ESET squad, and Entropic not too far behind. A wonderful three-way battle up top, a brilliant battle midfield though. We've been enjoying it all season long, and long may it continue. So let's have a look at how our wonderful Lukáš Přáda is doing this time around to last time. You can see from the comparison on the right, GT been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And yeah, Imola last time around, as you can see, finished first with fastest lap this year, was first last year. So it's just been getting stronger and more consistent each year we've seen him. And yeah, 3 podiums to 2, 77 points to 63 from last season. So ERT had done very, very well to hang on to him. And let's have a look at how he looks to Štefanko. Wow, that's close. It's incredibly close. Now, Justin, we've enjoyed the company of both of these drivers for a very long time. It's great to see Martin back. He hasn't lost any of his edge.
Nope, he is marginally ahead of Lukáš Přáda, who is having an even better season than he had last time out. So Martin Štefanko really hitting the ground running.
And there it is. It's cloudy, it's dry, it's Donington Park, as we are using the full version this time. So heading down to the Adelaide hairpin for added challenge. And look who's up top!
Wow, Siratek on pole alongside Lukáš Přáda, who starts just ahead of his brother, actually, David Přáda from 3rd position. Championship leader Martin Štefanko all the way down in 4th, with Michael Lehman in 5th alongside Lukáš Přáda on the 3rd row of the grid. Then it's Corny and Hora on the 4th row of the grid. Nadlik starts way down from 9th position. Eric Vizzi does manage to get into the top 10 in this qualifying. Then it's Krejča, and Aleš Danda does manage to qualify quite well, actually, returning for Benzina Orlen within 1 second of the pole time. So that is a great effort from Aleš Danda to come back in on short notice as well too, to put in that kind of performance. Really, really impressive. And we're gonna get ready to go racing. We have a short formation. We're not doing a full formation lap. You can see we're just at the S's actually. So we've got just a little bit of time before we go racing, but this is gonna be an interesting one, Chris.
Yeah, that S's point there is going to be one of the key overtaking spots for our competitors. They're coming down Starkey Straight, and it's quite a heavy braking zone into that point, and it's really crucial to get the entry line right into that chicane. It's not a very long run down to the Melbourne hairpin, but you want to be hitting the Melbourne hairpin as hard as you can, because you're getting down to speed and you're still going to be fighting everybody down there. It's the tightest corner on the entire circuit. And then you're coming back up to another hairpin turn for Goddard's, which is the final turn in the lap. So it's going to be The rest of the lap is fairly twisty, so there's not going to be too many overtaking opportunities unless someone makes a mistake. But Fogarty S's and Melbourne Hairpin, I think, are going to be the biggest overtaking spots of this race.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, especially when it comes to the mistakes as well. It's going to be about capitalizing on mistakes, and you're right. I think it's very possible a good amount of those Melbourne hairpin overtakes will actually be because of mistakes into the S's. But we're getting ready to go racing here as the lights go green, and we are away, and it is the Entropic car that leads the way on the run down towards turn 1. The 2 ERT cars coming under. Oh, no! The Big Shot car, the Entropic car is spun around. That's last year's champion. That's Podstata that's gone wrong. That's the Big Shot car. That's Nadlik. Oh, he's gotten caught up in that one as well. Nadlik has had such good speed all season long, but just keeps getting caught up in these incidents and this unlucky sort of stuff. And the safety car is out. We really did not make it very far into that race.
No, Donington's not very wide, so it's not an entire surprise. I kind of thought we'd get through Redgate, which is turn 1, before we had an incident like that. I mean, Martin Nadlik, it didn't look like it was a very big impact, so hopefully he hasn't got too much damage as a result of that issue. There's Podstata all the way down. I don't think I've ever seen Podstata before a pit stop outside the top 10, so that's going to be a difficult job for him to climb through the field, but he's certainly got the pace to do it. But Martin Štefanko right on Sirotech. I mean, what a great qualifying as well. You very rarely see the second of the Entropic cars up top. No disrespect meant, but it's very rare that it's Podstata that isn't up towards the front end. But yeah, this year he has been a little bit off the boil, and this will not have helped his race at all. But the safety car is going to last a little while. All 20 cars are running, so it shouldn't last too long, and the lap at Donington is not huge, so it should be cleared away pretty quickly, but we have got to go through the entire process. The field has to be picked up by the safety car, and then the safety car has to come in again. So once it's been called, it can't be kind of cancelled off like it would normally. But Michael Lehman, let's see his view of it. So he didn't get a good start. And then you see Podstata think about an inside manoeuvre then coming out to Reagan, and there! So it's the Lenovo Legion car that gets tripped over by the Big Shot car, and then just chaos and pandemonium ensues. Michael Lehman continues, and then actually touches the nose of the other of the Lenovo Legion cars, and now the actual safety cars just come out, and the incident is already essentially long since gone. But that is the nature of the beast. That is the rules. Once the safety car's been deployed, it has to be picked up, and it has to lead the field around again.
And that was a heck of a start, and I really do feel, I really feel for Nadlik in that one, because he really just was the meat in that sandwich there, and he had absolutely nowhere to go. I have a feeling at least 1 or 2 of those cars was not aware that they were 4 wide going into Redgate. And as you said before, this is not a wide circuit, Donington, quite an old historic sort of circuit for in the UK. And yeah, it's really unfortunate that Nadlik now finds himself way down in 20th. But as you said, I'm glad you pointed that out. Not too much damage. I didn't see a whole lot of damage. Nothing worse than what we've seen cars running around with in the top 5 at the end of a race. So certainly Nadlik can get back in it, and because of this safety car period as well, he's not going to be losing heaps of time. He does have Podstata just ahead of him as well. That could be an opportunity for him, though. If Podstata's a little bit quicker than him, he can use Podstata to scythe his way through the field, because Podstata is going to be potentially creating opportunities, creating openings for Nadlik to get through, and he could just kind of follow him through the field. And I would definitely say a top 10 finish is very much on the cards for both of them if they play things right. I have a feeling the safety car is going to be coming in this lap, but I still have a few more corners to navigate. And just on Sirotech, there's been a couple of points in this season where I've said, it almost seems like he's letting Podstata, stay ahead. It looked like there was almost team orders going on. This is the onboard now with Michael Lehman, who had that inside line. And was he one of the, he was one of the cars that went 4 wide. He was on the right of Nadlik, and he was the one that actually got pushed into Podstata. Podstata ended up getting the worst out of everybody, I would say, because Podstata got spun off to the left, and Redgate turns to the right.
Yeah, and there is a fair amount of damage on the front of Lehman's car, which may well just be cosmetic, but that's not going to help.
No.
And you do need some kind of aerodynamic efficiency at Donington Park. You have got a fair number of medium-speed corners here. Even in these GT3 cars, whilst they're not hugely dependent on aerodynamics, they do need to still be fairly settled. And that is not going to help Michael Lehmann's case. However, we will see how he is able to handle that. Looks like Svoboda in the Carvago car has returned to the pit lane, so maybe he didn't come away scot-free from that incident. We didn't really see him involved in it. Unless he was the Carvago car that was... he might have been the Carvago car that was actually staring at the field, but I think the lights are out on the safety car. It's actually hard to see from this camera angle. The pit lane entry is... They've already passed it. So, no, they are doing another lap behind the safety car, unfortunately. But Sirotek is... he's going to be certainly feeling the pressure. Tomatara, now he'll be the big shot car that was caught up in this.
Yep.
Oh, and there it goes. It was one of the... That's not one of the ERTs.
I think that's Lehman with the bad start.
Yeah, beg your pardon. So they ended up being 4 wide, and then that was just an unfortunate squeeze. The Lenovo Legion car just ended up being the pivot there, which, that's an unfortunate racing incident there. I mean, there was no real, obviously no intent there. Everyone's facing forwards, but sadly, just the field just condensed. That bad start from Lehman really compounded that particular situation. Kiesel from Puma is now in as well, but the safety car lights are out, so it will be coming in and we will be green flag racing when we next see the start finish line.
Won't be too long, despite the pace that the cars are riding at currently. But
he looks asleep.
He does. He does. Sirotek is wishing the safety car would drive just a little bit faster. But yeah, he's probably keen to get going. But yeah, it's been a good season for Sirotek so far. He's been on the podium already this season, 41 points so far after only 4 races. So he's averaging more than 10 points per race, which is really solid. And again, it's always difficult trying to partner the reigning champion. So I think Sirotek has done an incredible job this year. But I have to say, this is really a good opportunity for him to shine, because of course Podstata is kind of out of it, down in 17th position. So if Sirotek wants to pick up that first win, I think this is going to be a very good opportunity for him. Now he's going to have to do it with Martin Štefanko nipping at his heels the entire time, Lukáš Přáda in hot pursuit as well. But again, Sirotek really has been quite an impressive driving force in this 2022 season.
Yeah, that he has. Again, a very improved driver from last year. So it's great to see how he's been, how he's been able to handle all the pressure. And alongside, like you say, the current champion is a difficult feat in the first place. So fair play to Sirotek then, as they are now working their way through the field. So Kiesel has come back out of the pits. He has worked his way around the circuit, and he's on the back of the field now. And sadly, Svoboda has not reappeared, so we will not be. It doesn't look like we'll be seeing him for the rest of the race, which is a big shame. Now through the Melbourne hairpin. We don't often see this version of Donington used. Generally, you use that section through the S's, or the Roberts chicane, it becomes called, when you use the national layout, which cuts this section out. So it's actually good we get the opportunity to use the extra hairpin. As I say, just adds that big challenge, really big braking zone down into there. But now we will get this race back underway when the safety car pulls in.
And there it goes, pulling off into the pit lane. Sirotek now in control, and it looks like he's going. He's not hanging around. He wants to get this show underway. Štefanko right underneath him, though. He's going to find the inside line on the run down towards Redgate, and surely that's going to be an overtake for Martin Štefanko. He's later on the brakes as well, too. A bit of an over-under. Oh, and then around the outside goes Lukáš Přáda as well. Sirotek getting caught napping ever so slightly. He's going to have the inside line now for the Craner curves, and he's done it. Sirotek loses 2 positions seconds at the restart. And that's the other ESET car going off at the back. That's Corny, who's gone for a bit of an explorer through the grass. He's managed to keep it out of the barriers, is going to try to safely rejoin. He's done just about that. That's one of the Puma cars, one of the Navitel cars slipping past, and Corny down to 14th position. That's a big shot car, and that's Hora, I think, unfortunately. Or was it? No, it was Hora, who is having a race to forget here at Donington. He's going to slip all the way down to 19th position as a result of that, but it is now Štefanko that leads the race with 45 minutes remaining. Lukáš Přáda right behind him.
Wow, Štefanko wasted no time dispatching off Sirotek there, did he? Struth alive. But Lukáš Přáda, again, showing really what he's worth. That was close. I thought Sirotek was going to bury his car into the back of the ERT leader. David Přáda, 4th. Then Michael Lehman in 5th position. You can see there's a second that's built up between David Přáda and Michael Lehman. So the Mecha All-for-Sim car, he's just lost that 5th position to Eric Vizzi, who's having a better race than we've seen this season. Well, he's had a really, there's another driver that's had a really rough season, and whoa, who's that slowing down? It's someone's had a slow down penalty there, I guarantee it. That would be
Krejča, I think.
That's such a shame if that is the case. As there's Lehman, so he's either very slow due to damage, or he had a slowdown penalty. Slightly uncertain. And Thomas Hora from that big impact is retired from the race. Martin Štefanko for Lenovo Legion caught up in that early first corner's incident, sadly, is in the pit lane as well. So we don't usually see this many people in the pit lane so quickly. But Michael Lehman, he's got it all to do. He's now got Bruno for Navitel on his tail. It's right ahead. That's Hermark trying to make a move on Chambera in the lead Navitel car. So yet again, great argument going on up front. It's certainly in the middle, as I say. Banchik in the lead Puma car. I was going to say sole Puma car, but Kiesel did actually rejoin the race, didn't he? So yeah, he's still running. Great stuff there. There's Lukáš Přáda trying to keep up with Martin Štefanko, and there's Martin Štefanko. Very sorry looking Lenovo Legion car. Hopefully we can get back on track. Again, if we have another safety car, that'll bring him right back into it. But slightly further back, there's Thomas Corny. Getting a bit fidgety behind Podstarter. He's now up to 13th and just working his way past the Banchik and up to 12th now. The last year's champion is beginning to make some moves.
Yeah, Podstarter up to 12th. He's got Lehman up next. Lehman, of course, has been slipping down, possibly because of that rather severe-looking damage anyway, with that crumpled hood at the front of the car. Corny, though, following Podstarter through, or potentially going to try to make an overtake on Podstarter if he thinks he's got the speed on him. But Corny down from where he started in the race, unfortunately. Great to see Vizzy up into 5th position, by the way. Aleš Danda as well on his full-time announcement, his full-time return, up into 6th position, knocking on the door of a top 5 and still within 1 second of Eric Vizzy as well too. And just as a reminder to the folks at home, the top 15 all score points. So with 3 retirements in the race, all but 2 of these drivers will be picking up points. So this is going to be a great opportunity for those drivers that maybe have struggled a little bit throughout the course of this season, that haven't really picked up a whole lot of points. Aleš Danda, the only driver in this field that hasn't scored points yet, he's on for a heck of a haul here today in 6th position, if he can manage to hold on to that. But having a look at the Benzina Orlen car now, he's got Krejča right behind him, who has definitely been strong all season long, and I think is going to be pushing hard, especially being the lead Mecha All-for-Sim car.
Podstarter on the back of Michael Lehman, then coming over the line to complete another lap on the way down to Recce. Flash of the lights from Podstarter. There's probably an indication of maybe frustration from the early lap, or early problems in the first lap. Well, no point flashing lights now. There's not really anything you can do about it. That was a good 15 minutes ago. On the way down through the Craner curves into the old hairpin now, as they are still trying to chase off after Hermark in the Caravaggio car. You just missed him at the top of the shot. Thomas Corny in that fight as well. There is the Caravaggio car on the back of Chambera in the Navitel car. Now up through McLean's, coming up towards Coppice. One of the most difficult corners, well, certainly the most difficult corner on this track is really blind apex coming into Coppice. And now this pack has really bunched up behind Chambera. How are they going to sort this one out coming down towards the Fogger TS? Is still flashing the lights from Podstarter. I'm not really quite sure what he's trying to indicate there, but either way, he's maybe just a distraction technique. Well, just kind of knuckle down and get on with it. I guess there goes the Carvago car. Hermark trying to make a move.
Whoa!
Oh, that gets fidgety for Podstarter. He's caught the back of Lehman, and he's now caught into the... No, even more damage potentially onto the Mecha Roll 4 Sim car. Hermark made a mistake. Well, did he make a mistake, or was he caught up in that incident? He's got front damage, so I wonder whether he made his own mistake there. And oh dear, that's a shame, because he was doing really well and looking to get inside the top 10.
Hermark's been incredible all season long. One of my favorite rookies. Really exciting to watch his driving style, and does tend to go better in the races than he does in qualifying. So you tend to see him making moves in the race, which is always a lot of fun. This is that battle for 6th position that we were mentioning previously. Alish Danda starting to fall off the back of Eric Vizzi ever so slightly. It's about a second and a half now between himself and the Lenovo Legion car. Eric Vizzi actually building himself a little bit of a gap. It's about a second and a half both ahead and behind him as it stands right now. And I'm sure a quiet 5th position is exactly what the doctor ordered for Eric Vizzi, who finished outside of the points at the last 2 races at Hungary and Spielberg. So he's going to be looking to pick up some points here. Now, this is an interesting one. Lukáš Přáda moved to the right-hand side. It looked like he was going to go for the overtake. Then he moved back to the inside. And I don't know if I can make a call on that one without seeing some sort of telemetry. And I imagine the stewards will do that level of investigation as well, too. They'll look at the telemetry. They'll see, you know, if people were braking at the right time. Oh, and that is Přáda just shooting up the inside of Chambera. Is going to take that position, move himself up into 9th. And he's, I mean, I was mentioning how a top 10 finish is still on the cards for Přáda earlier on. Here we go. Here we are with 39 minutes left. He's already up to 9th.
Wow, where's this pace been? He's really pressing on. I think a little bit red mist potentially for the champion, but he can kind of keep that under control. From looking at that incident between Podstarter and Lehman, it did look like that Podstarter was just caught out a little bit from where Michael Lehman braked. Yeah, like you say, Justin, we'd have to look at that one again and really kind of look at where the Michael Lehman would normally brake for that as to... Whoa! God, Thomas Corney keep that one under control, running a little bit too wide on the old hairpin. And Hermark, who got a big old clout in the door from Michael Lehman after the impact with Podstarter. That's a shame for him. He is in the pits. That's 4 cars now parked in the pit lane. Certainly one of them won't be coming back. We don't think... probably none of them are coming back at this point. But Thomas Corney... He's doing pretty well. I mean, all fair play to Chambera, who's keeping a very seasoned racer right behind him at this stage. I can't really blame him for not being able to keep the champion behind him, in fairness. You don't really... I'm sure he didn't really expect to be hustled by Lukáš Přáda. Now, what's Thomas Corney going to do? Yeah, fairly straightforward move. Can he slow that one down? Yeah, very nicely done there for the ESET car. That doesn't give anywhere for Chambera to go. Parked it nicely on the apex. That's 10th for Thomas Corney.
Pulled out from behind Chambera there at the last possible second. Oh, and that's Přáda pulling off into the pits with 37 minutes remaining. That is a very early pit stop for our reigning champion. There is Stepanovsky, by the way, making a move on Urbanchik for 12th position. Just having a look up the inside. That's Michael Lehman in his damaged Mecha All-for-Sim car. Oh, and he's going to look for the inside line. That's going to become the outside line in just a moment here with the changes of directions that you get in the first sector. And then once again becoming the outside line for Stepanovsky. And he's going to lose out to Michael Lehman, who moves himself back up into 13th position with a rather interesting looking car. Přáda still stationary in the pit lane. We'll keep an eye on that and see where he's going to come out. And by the way, with that pit stop, that has officially moved Kiesel back up into the points after that start. So again, you know, it's always worth pressing on, continuing as much as you can, because you never know what's going to happen. Kiesel now moving up into the points. Stepanovsky in 14th position, who we're now on board with. Still has Lehman up ahead, but bit of a gap now starting to form between himself and the Mecha All-for-Sim car. Speak of the devil, and Lehman getting very close to the back of Urbanchik. I think this might be a potential overtake. I think Michael Lehman might be another driver with the red mist possibly descending.
Yeah, but he's got a bit more of a wounded car to try and utilise that with. So
he does.
We'll see if he's able to do anything about it. But in fairness, as you can quite clearly see, Thomas Hermark has also retired his car. I mean, it was a fair old bang, but it was in the side. So I'm a little surprised by that. But either way, he's opted to retire the Carvago car. And Podstarter. Whoa.
Oh.
Okay. Now, did not expect that. did not expect the car to be retired.
No, I did not either.
Wow. I'm genuinely surprised. Perhaps just too frustrated with the... I mean, his season hasn't gone brilliantly well, but he's always been well inside the top 5, but that's going to really hurt his championship defense.
Yeah, that's difficult for Podstata. A 0-point race is going to be really difficult to come back from. We don't have any sort of drop races or anything like that. Certainly some championships do that sort of thing in sim racing. They'll let you drop your worst round. That way, if you have a disconnect or something like that, it doesn't actually have an effect on your season. But we don't have any drop rounds, so Neil Plouffe for Podstata is going to be a real problem in the championship standings. Just as a reminder, coming into this race, Štefanko on 86 points, Lukáš Přáda on 77 points, Podstata 63 points. He was already 17 points down on Lukáš Přáda, and then another 9 points adrift of Štefanko, and this is not going to be helping, especially with Štefanko and Lukáš Přáda 1-2 in this race.
And Štefanko is getting away from Lukáš Přáda as well. So Štefanko is on for 3 in a row. When was the last time we saw that besides Michael Schmidl? It's got to be Podstata.
Yeah.
It's the last time we saw it, which would have been last year. So, yeah, very, very surprising. I mean, Podstata's been on the podium 3 times out of the 4 races we've had, Daytona being the odd one out there. So he's had a really good run, and it looked like the car had decent pace. It was overtaking people. Either way, we don't know what the circumstance behind that is. We can surmise about it all day long. The truth of the matter is he has retired the car. So we continue to watch the wounded Michael Lehman. Now, he's likely to have a longer pit stop because of the damage.
Yeah.
There'll be some damage that he probably has to repair.
Yeah.
And more optional ones. Here's a great battle, though. I've been keeping an eye on the timing for this. Aleš Danda on his full-time return to the series. Now for Benzina Roland. We saw him for Puma last time out. He's now full-time with Benzina, replacing Pavel Sheps being chased by Krejča. And now that's Maracek in the surviving Big Shot car. So he's had a storming race. Thomas Horror, sadly, being caught up in that early issues on lap 1. Maracek hasn't finished inside the top 10 yet this season and is looking at the battle for 6th. So he's had a storming run here in Donington.
Yeah, Maracek so far this season, 13th, DNF 12th, 14th. So when he finishes, he does it in the points, but it's never been this high up with the best finish of 12th. So the fact that he's involved in the battle for 6th is pretty significant for the Big Shock driver, who's definitely been sort of behind his teammate Thomas Horror. By the way, Thomas Horror had not finished outside of the points this season until today. Hermach had not finished outside of the points this season until today. In fact, Hermach had only had 1 finish outside the top 10. That was at Hungary, where he finished 11th, still in the points. So yeah, really unfortunate for the likes of Hermach and Hora. Neidlich, by the way, though, just to give you an idea of the season that he's been having, 6th, 1st, DNF, 4th, DNF. So he really does seem to be right at the front of the field, or just in the pits in a smoking pile of carbon fiber and metals. So yeah, unfortunately, Neidlich is going to be coming away with one of the other ones, the no scoring races, rather than finishing high up. But I really feel for him. Again, the retirement or what caused his retirement today was really not his fault. So I can imagine Neidlich being really, really frustrated about that. But he's had incredible pace all season long. I really hope that he keeps pushing hard. And he's already got 49 points, which I know still might seem like a ways off of the 86 of Štefanko, but we still have an entire half season to be run in the single-seaters, and also one more GT3 race to run. So, all of these drivers can bounce back, but if things continue like this, they're going to start needing more and more Lukáš Přáda and Martin Štefanko to have a little bit of bad luck.
Yeah, somewhat. Stepanovsky was gesticulating towards the Puma of Banchik there.
Oh.
Which is a bit strange, because I didn't see, we didn't see any reason for that, unless he's just, maybe frustrated. But Stepanovsky's not having a bad run. He's been with... Has he been with us every single season, or certainly for a long time? We've seen Stepanovsky.
Yep.
Yeah, he was with Big Shock last season.
Yep, and the season before, I think.
Yeah, correct. And hasn't scored too well. He's been in the points twice so far this season. Oh, as we see Michael Lehmann getting past Jan Brunner in the Navatel car. That is for 11th place. So there's life in the Mecha Rawlfist Sim car yet. Yes, I wonder what Stepanovsky was gesticulating. Oh, it looked like he was gesticulating towards Banchik there. I didn't see any particular issue. Krejča and Maracek now having an argument for 7th position. That's actually released Alish Danda. There, you've just seen Danda go through the shot. I'm also really happy to see Eric Vizzi back up towards a position that really does highlight how good he is. He's had some pretty rough luck this season. 7th, 12th, 17th and 17th so far. And if you hadn't seen his performances last year, you'd have assumed that Imola was a bit of a lucky fluke and he's actually a back-of-the-field driver, which is absolutely not the case, especially when you look at how well he did last season. So really glad to see Eric Vizzi in a top 5 position.
Yeah, doing great. He's one of the lonelier cars out there on track at the moment. Maracek also feeling like flashing the headlights. But yeah, great to see Vizzi up into 5th. And yeah, you're exactly right. For anybody that's new to the series who's not familiar with Eric Vizzi, he is one of the faster drivers. He definitely deserves to be up at the top. Maybe just the season hasn't really had enough time to practice, potentially. You and I both know, Chris, just how important practice is to sim racers. I've seen really average sim racers turned into top-level esports drivers just with practice and lots of hard work. Just because somebody's a little off the pace one season does not mean that is any kind of indication of their true talent or their true pace. And certainly Eric Vizzi's 2022 season has not been representative of his pace. And I do wonder if just maybe he's not been able to get the preparation in this year that he's been able to do in previous seasons, where we've seen him battling the likes of Štefanko and the Přáda brothers and all the other front runners and stuff. So hopefully this can be, oh man, I'm really aging myself with this one, but hopefully this is how Stella got her groove back, and this will be the start of Eric Vizzi's renaissance, and hopefully this will really boost his confidence for the rest of the season.
I mean, you also got to bear in mind that Eric Vizzi last season was one of the only drivers to challenge Lukáš Přáda and Lukáš Podstarter.
Yes.
So, yeah, he was... There were a few one-off drives, but also bear in mind that last season, I believe, was Eric Vizzi's maiden season. So, Maracek!
No.
That was a big move, but sadly that's gone horribly wrong for Krejča. Both Mecha Sim cars now have been in the wars, and both of them are reshaped now. So that's Krejča's nose. It's the other side of the nose to his teammate, actually. Michael Lehmann's damage on the opposite side of the nose, I think.
It is.
Yeah, flash of the... Yeah, there you go. If you combine the two, you'd have one good hood in that. But yeah, wow, Krejča is not happy about that whatsoever. Furious flashing of the lights there towards... what is towards Korony, but that's actually meant towards Maracek, as that was the car he was battling with. Oh, that's a bit of a tricky one. We'll hopefully get a replay of that. It looked like that the move was on, but Krejča may well have not realised that he was coming back from a long way, because the move did start a long way back. We'll see a replay of it if we get the opportunity to. But Krejča seems to have lost a fair amount of pace. Here goes Michael Lehmann fairly quickly to try and put a move on him. Whoa, that car does not want to steer straight. No. So that's more than just bonnet damage that's gone on for Martin Krejča's car.
Luckily for him, his teammate can tell him exactly how much damage he has as he drives by, because yeah, Michael Lehmann does seem to have a bit more pace, and this is what happened with Maracek. So again, he's going to be going for the overtake here, and yeah, you can see he's got so much more speed coming out of the chicane. He goes for the lunge. I think he was owed space at that corner. I know he had there was a big gap between the two of them. There was a lot of space laterally between the two of them, but he was alongside. You know, yeah, there was probably about 4 or 5 meters from left to right between them. But yeah, I think he was alongside. We'll see if the stewards want to say anything about that. And also, I don't know if the viewers picked up on this, but Koreny in the second ESET car, we're looking at Štefanko in the leading ESET car, but Koreny in the second ESET car also kind of clunked into Krejci, who has, by the way, lost that position to Lehman. I was correct on that one. And it looks like he might actually lose another position to Chambera, and then possibly Bruna, and then possibly Urbanchik and Stepanovski. He's right in a very busy part of the track there. But yeah, Koreny also ended up running into Krejci a little bit, so I think he's got a little bit more damage. And who is that? Was that Lehman?
Chambera!
I think that was Lehman rejoining after a mistake, and that's just put Chambera off, and he's found a solid barrier there. That's not forgiving stuff. That's not tires. That is concrete. That's going to hurt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it stopped him, but stopped him quicker than he would have liked. I think it's difficult to tell because, of course, the Mega All Sim cars are the same. I think we'll get a replay of it. It did look like it was Lehman that was rejoining the circuit after making a bit of a mistake through Starkey's Ridge Schwantz curve somewhere. But we'll see a replay of it. We'll get an idea of how that came about. But yeah, I fully agree with you on that one with what happened with Maracek. He committed to the move, but the thing was he jumped out of the slipstream in plenty of time to make his statement known. He didn't just jump out of the way at the very, very last second. He committed to that quite early. Stepanovski has brought his Benzina car in. Yeah, I think he should have been given a bit more space. But if that does go to the stewards, they'll have more time than we do right now to look at various angles and what have you. It did look, from our perspective, that that was Krejci turning in rather than Maracek making a dive on. Because also bearing in mind that the Big Shot car made the apex. That was the crucial part. He wasn't slowed down by Krejci's car. If he was just going to overshoot the apex, that would be 100% Maracek's fault. That's Bruna. Yeah, that's Jan Bruna. That's look at this fight we've got going on. Wasn't thinking about what Maracek and Krejci are doing. Great four-way scrap going on here for what is 8th position, no 9th position, as Lehman has disappeared. So that is now Koreny trying to get past Krejci, having an argument into the chicane. That's really, really narrow to try and go side by side there. So ESET still behind Mega All 4 Sim, then Jan Bruna, then Urbanchik and Puma. Again, 4 different teams being represented by various drivers. Oh, that is getting very close. Krejci's struggling in that car. He's lost a lot of pace with that damage, but he's doing a great job of fending off the advances. But it's coming back to the original point. I do feel, from what we've seen, that was Krejci's, more on Krejci than it was on Maracek, as we see Urbanchik in the Puma car coming in for his pit stop.
Yep, Urbanchik also coming. He's going to follow in. Remember Stepanovski, who pit the lap prior, so they're going for the undercut. Overcuts are also very successful in this league because of refueling. So if you're new to VGP, you can do an undercut. You can do an overcut. There are options there. So keep an eye. We'll keep our eye. Oh, whoa! That is Koreny and that is Krejci. And I don't know if that was contact between the two of them. Koreny's going to move up into 10th position as a result of that. Bruna in 9th position. Lehman continuing to extend that gap, and Krejci just really unfortunate. From 7th has slipped down to 11th, and is on for a really long pit stop as well too, I would imagine. Speaking of which, by the way, Stepanovski and Urbanchik, they came out about 5 seconds apart from each other. Koreny is out. No, it's saying he's into the pits.
I think he's lagged because the game assumes he's in the pits if he's lagged out. But
he wasn't near the pit entrance, right?
No, he wasn't. He just literally vanished. Yeah. So either he's hit the incident limit, which we haven't really seen anybody get disqualified because of the incident limit. So we haven't seen that so far, and it would be really early in the race to do that. But with the amount of incidents and bangs and shoves and wides we've seen, it's not impossible. Yeah. And it doesn't look like Koreny's returning, so it could actually be just a genuine internet disconnection. Again, we don't know what's happened there, but another one. Are we going to have anybody left to see the checkered flag at this rate?
I do wonder.
we're losing them like flies at the minute. It's not often we see this many DNFs. I think, just looking through, I think the maximum we've had so far this season is 2 in a single race. Just having a quickly, yeah, the highest we've seen in any race so far this season is 2 DNFs, and we have got 6 of them in this particular event. My goodness me, Maricek looks like he's going to start having an argument with Danda again for 6th position. There's Siratek, the sole surviving Entropic car, of course, started towards the top, but Štefanko is just gone.
Yeah.
He is checked out up front.
I noticed that as well. I had not been, yeah, Corny did hit the incident limit, I have to assume, with that disqualification. We can only assume that that was indeed because of the incident limit, which is especially surprising with more than 20 minutes of racing still to go. But Maricek still in 7th position, and actually still pretty close to the back of Alish Danda as well. I wouldn't say that's striking distance. It's about 2 seconds thereabouts. Michael Lehman has pulled off into the pits, which could be great news for the likes of Bruna potentially, because again, I think we both think that Lehman is potentially going to be in the pits for quite some time with required repairs for that Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 car. And there is...
Pretty straight back out.
Yeah, that must have been... Oh, yeah, no.
That was unless he's earned himself a drive-through penalty somehow, which I think is possible to do, but it's taken him a long time to serve it, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happened there, but Štefanko, was he in? No, I think that was a lag moment there, so no, he's still going. So Michael Lehman, I mean, something certainly happened as he's now behind his teammate. This is a very strange race. This is quite an unusual one tonight. It's still just as thrilling as ever, but yeah, it's been an unusual one, certainly.
Kiesel is right on the back of Michael Lehman at this point, and I think potentially Kiesel might have a real opportunity to overtake both of the Mecha All-for-Sim cars, which is, I think, really saying something. Kiesel has had a bit of a quiet start to his season with only 1 points finish so far out of the 3 races that he's partaken in, but here he is, potentially looking at a top 10 finish and potentially looking to make the overtake on track here at Donington as well, because Kiesel with a much healthier looking car compared to the 2 Mecha All-for-Sims ahead of him. So even though he may not have that raw pace that we saw in qualifying, he may just have a quicker car at this stage, just due to the fact that he's been involved in fewer incidents and his car is more put together than the Mecha All-for-Sims at this stage. But again, once the pit stop phases come through, that as well is definitely going to help Puma, who is on, by the way, Puma is on for a double points finish here. Everybody that finishes this race is on for a nice haul of points, because again, it is the top 15. But I don't think Shambera or indeed Corony is going to be scoring any points, because you have to finish enough of the race, a significant enough portion of the race, in order to warrant being given points. You know, you can't just DNF in 15th position on lap 1 and think you're going to get a championship point for that. So I do believe that Urbanchik is going to be the lowest driver picking up points, but it's going to be a nice points haul for some of these drivers that are maybe used to finishing a little bit further down. You know, your Mariceks, your Brunas, your Kiesels, your Stepanovskis, your Urbanchiks. They're definitely going to be pretty happy about the way this race has been going for them. Lehman and Krejci, probably not so much. I think both of them are, you know, they want to be challenging for top 5s and that sort of stuff. They've just been involved in so many incidents. I think there's positives to take away for them. The fact that they're both still in the top 10 despite everything that has happened, I think is a real, it really just shows how quality both of the Mecha All-for-Sim drivers are. But in the end, I think they're going to be losing out in terms of the team's championship and all that kind of stuff. But we're rapidly coming up. Certainly, I would expect planned pit stops to start happening very shortly here.
Indeed, indeed. You can see, wow, they've really left Kiesel behind. I'm assuming Kiesel's made a mistake somewhere. That seems a really big gap to have opened up in a lap or two, especially with wounded cars. Yeah, no such problem for Štefanko. When we were riding on board with Lukáš Přáda, you just saw a vague speck in the distance as Lukáš was coming through Hollywood, which is turn 2. You just saw Štefanko going through the old hairpin, which was 2 corners on. So Sirotek is still certainly within sight of Lukáš Přáda, as we can see. And there's David Přáda, the second of the Přáda brothers. So ERT again looking at second and fourth, as they did a couple of races ago in Hungary. They're almost always within a few positions of each other. So yeah, in Imola it was first and fourth. Daytona second and third, Hungary second and fourth, and last time out it was 6th and 8th. So they're generally 2 or 3 positions apart, the Přáda brothers, as they will be again. An interesting pattern to form.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure Lukáš will be happy to get back onto the podium. He's been on podium for 3 out of 4 races thus far, as that looks like Jan Brunner has brought his Navitel car into the pits. So we look at Ibanchik. Krejča is in. So that, we think, is the second time that Krejča's been in. Stepanovsky in the second Benzina all-in car. His teammate Anish Danda is still up in 6th position with Maricek for company. Stepanovsky continues on his merry way, as does Ibanchik right behind him.
Stepanovsky going really, really well, I have to say, because, yeah, you pointed out rightfully, he is one of the veterans of the league, and it's funny because, yeah, it wasn't, or it doesn't feel that long ago that I was commentating on him as a rookie, but yeah, he is one of the more veteran drivers at this stage, and he's having a really good race. He's got Krejča, who's come out just ahead of him. Who knows? We'll have to check and see exactly how much damage Krejča still has. Oh, there we go. Things are getting very exciting at the front. Lukáš Přáda, David Přáda, Sirotek, Vizzy, all into the pits. But what's really interesting, Štefanko continues. That's Danda and Maricek as well, I see in the background pulling off into the pits. Will we see Michael? By the way, I think it was Lehman that we saw who came into the pits before and was out very quickly. I'm very curious to see if Lehman's going to have to come in again, if indeed he made some sort of mistake in the pit lane, or if he was serving some sort of drive-through, whatever the case might be. And indeed, Lehman is into the pits as well. So yeah, he was either fixing something or made a mistake or something like that, but he's into the pits. Kiesel's into the pits as well, and I think that is now everybody that has been into the pits except for Štefanko, who I would assume is going to be coming in this lap.
And Sirotek is behind Eric Vizzy. Sirotek has lost another pair of positions.
Wow.
He was third when they came in, so that was a really bad stop. It's not turning out to be a good day for Entropic whatsoever. Yeah, Sirotek then is now needing to challenge Eric Vizzy and get back up towards David Přáda if he wants a podium. Štefanko has now decided to play ball and bring his car in. Here comes Lukáš Přáda coming through the Fogarty S's. If we look back front, wow, the gap between the Přáda brothers is now around about 7 seconds. That's huge. A massive gap between those two. So, yeah, David Přáda didn't have... I know he was behind Lukáš, but it wasn't that far. So a bit of a side. There he is. So it's the length of that short straight. Out comes Martin Štefanko. He was never really going to be challenged. I mean, he could have sat there and had a drink at that stage and still come out in the lead. Such has been his incredible performance yet again. The ESET ace is looking to make it 3 on the bounce. There is Sirotek being... sorry, that's him on the back of Eric Vizzy. So we have a real hot battle now for 4th.
Yeah, Vizzy's not the most intense defensive driver that we've seen in VGP. I would say Blazek probably is one of the all-time great defenders of VGP. But definitely Vizzy is, an experienced old hand. He knows racing. He knows where to place his car. And there are definitely harder tracks to defend at than Donington. Just clever car placement, sort of almost like Monaco, can really do a lot of wonders here. So it'll be very interesting to see if Sirotek indeed has enough pace to get past Vizzy, or if Vizzy is going to be clever enough with his positioning, his car positioning, in order to keep Siratek behind. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Siratek, who again took pole position, lost that pole right at the very start, had an absolutely dreadful start to the race, and then has lost even more time in positions through the pit stop phase. He's going to look to the outside at the Melbourne hairpin, and then luckily for him, there is another hairpin immediately after. If you don't get it done into the first one, you can try to get into the second one, but it's not a very long run. You don't get up, you know, into the high gears either on the run down towards Goddard's, so it's not like he's going to be picking up a slipstream or anything like that. You got to be really, really close, or hope that the car ahead has a bit of a wiggle coming out of Melbourne if you want to do it into Goddard's. But you know, you get those two back-to-back hairpins, which does significantly increase the overtaking opportunities that present themselves here at Donington. But Siratek, for the meantime, hangs on in 5th position. Štefanko continues to lead by now over 8 seconds.
Absolutely unbelievable performance from Martin Štefanko. Yeah, Eric Vizzy clearly listening to exactly what you're saying there, Justin. He parked his car perfectly on the apex of the Melbourne hairpin. That really disrupted the momentum from Siratek, and Eric Vizzy's built himself up about 4 tenths of a second, 3 or 4 tenths of a second. That's all he's able to do through the rest of the lap. Siratek looks like he may well just have a tiny bit of a pace advantage over the Lenovo Legion car, but Eric Vizzy is, like you say, he's a very experienced driver these days. He knows exactly what to do with his car to keep his aggressors behind. And you saw last time out at this point, it was Vizzy that went to the defensive line, but it's this time Siratek that goes for the line and has to bail on it. Well driven from both of them, because there was no impact there, but that was very close. Flat on the lights from Siratek, I don't agree with you there. That was firm but fair, unless that was a well done, well defended kind of move. But usually the flat on the lights is done in frustration more than anything else. You mentioned Michael Blazek. Oh, fond memories of the Group C cars and him defending what must have felt like the entire world pretty much in anything, but I remember him particularly in those Group C cars. Yes,
always putting on a show. And here is Michael Lehman, who has found some pace. By the way, I noticed that he made the overtake on Bruna not that long ago. Oh, really parking it on the apex there and blocking any sort of undercut from Urbanchik there. But really well done from Lehman. I noticed the overtake on Bruna a little while ago, just after the pit stop phase, and yeah, I meant to make a note of it, that Lehman seems to have found some extra pace after getting a little bit of repairs, after visiting the pit lane twice. We still don't know what the 2 different visits were for exactly. Oh, and has there been a Stepanovsky is up into 7th ahead of Maricek. He is having a heck of a race.
And Maricek has got himself a drive-through penalty, as well as we see Vizzy again defending from the Entropic car of Siratek. Martin Siratek trying to outbrake the Lenovo Legion car. Nothing happening on the Melbourne hairpin. And that again just disrupts his momentum heading up towards Goddard's. Can't do anything. The run is too short if you've had your line disrupted by the fact that there's a car on the inside line. So again, really well defended from Eric Vizzy again. And yeah, I clocked that Stepanovsky was right up into 7th. And with Maricek now getting a drive-through penalty, that is going to release the pressure that the Benzina Orlan car is going to be experiencing. Look at that. I mean, Benzina Orlan is struggling a bit. Stepanovsky, his best finish so far is 15th, and he's looking to better than half that today.
Yeah, 7th position, and right behind his teammate Alish Danda as well. It's going to be a nice haul of points for Benzina, and at a time in the season when they really could have used it as well. So not a moment too soon for them. And with 8 minutes remaining, and with Michael Lehman being 3+ seconds off the back of Stepanovsky and still carrying a decent amount of damage in his Becca Alfredsson car, I give Stepanovsky pretty good odds here. He's going to be coming under a pretty good amount of pressure, which, you know, that might be a little bit new for him, having to defend 7th position. I mean, he's been up into these positions before, but, you know, we're getting right to the end of the race. And again, he hasn't finished in the top 10 so far this season. So Stepanovsky certainly, he might be feeling the pressure there potentially. But Siratek looking once again, and again, he does seem to have the pace on Eric Vizzi. He seems faster, as Chris pointed out. Oh, he's going to look for it into the final corner. Vizzi is forced to give him the room. He gets the better drive off of the corner as well. He's going to move to the left-hand side. Vizzi, though, does have the better straight line speed, is able to maintain the position just about. Is Siratek going to try late for the brakes? He is very late on the brakes into the first corner at Redgate. Carries the speed, does Eric Vizzi to manage to hold on to that position. It's going to be around the outside through turn 2, becomes the inside line for the Craner curves, outside line again for the old hairpin. They're still going to be side by side, and Martin Siratek does it with the inside line into the old hairpin. He takes back what was rightfully his once before. He's up into 4th position, and the Entropic team is going to be thrilled about that one, especially with only one car finishing today's race. Oh no! I spoke too soon. Eric Vizzi touches the back of the Entropic car, and he spins Siratek around. Alish Danda is going to drive through into the top 5. Siratek continues on. I think Eric Vizzi might have known that that was his mistake. It seemed like he was stopping to let Siratek go back through, but once he saw that Siratek had spun around, I think at that point he said, well, I got to just continue on and just accept whatever might be coming my way. But I really feel for Siratek at this stage because, again, from pole down to 6th position, and it's not necessarily his fault either that he now finds himself in this position, but Danda into the top 5. There he is.
He must be screaming his head off in there. What a great result for Alish Danda. And there's the other one. There's Stepanovsky being flashed at by Maracek. I think Maracek's already served his drive-through. I get the feeling he's already done it. Maybe that explains why Maracek was there. I get the feeling that notification came up a little bit late, even if Stepanovsky, who's defending, perfectly right to do so because that is for position. Whoa! Through the lights. Steady on, Maracek. Flash the lights again. That was your mistake, no one else's. But equally, there's Michael Lehman gaining on them as well. Even if Stepanovsky loses both of these positions, which, with only 5 minutes to go, he could well hang on to 7th in the first place. That's still going to be a very, very good position for him to be in, considering how his season has gone so far. So Aldrich, Stepanovsky, Benzina Roland is having a stunning time here. Unlike the guy that's next down the road, Siratek in the Entropic Guard. Donington giveth, and Donington most certainly taketh away.
3 and a bit laps, possibly 4 and a bit laps for Stepanovsky to have to defend from Maracek and Michael Lehman, who seems to be getting closer and closer. And of course, if Stepanovsky and Maracek continue going side by side, that's only going to encourage Michael Lehman to get closer and closer. And I mean, heck, Urbanchik and Bruna aren't that far off in the distance either. So if they really start battling in the final 5 minutes of today's race, then we could easily see a 4 or 5 way battle start to develop for this 7th place position. Stepanovsky decides to defend the inside line into that penultimate hairpin. I think that was the right call, actually. It's very difficult to go around the outside at the Melbourne hairpin. And as we've been talking about all race long, the rundown towards Goddard's really isn't long enough to find a way through. So I don't think he needed to defend Goddard's there. I think he was defending clean air through the final corner. But I think he did make the right call defending the inside line into turn 11. That has slowed him up, though. His lap time's a little bit slower. A 1:26.5 last lap is slower than what he was doing previously, and you can see that that is bringing Lehman in. Now, what could be good news, though, for Stepanovsky is if Lehman and Maracek start battling each other, that could be the news that he needs in order to go to the end. But I don't know exactly how many laps are left. We would need to have a look at Štefanko. We're coming up to 3 minutes left. It's just under a minute and a half for an entire lap. So depending on Štefanko, where he is right now, it's got to be 2 or 3 laps remaining in this race.
Oh, you can bet that Michael Lehman is going to have a go at Maracek.
Oh, yeah.
You can absolutely bet. With the race that Michael Lehman's had, he wants to be limiting that damage as much as he can. And Maracek has already started to defend. You can see he's now just by that small gap that's opened up between the Big Shock and Benzina cars, and still Maracek is flashing at Stepanovsky. I know it's a distraction tactic. I'm not a fan of it. Oh my goodness me! Michael Lehman! That was a huge move. He's just literally chucked his car at the apex. That flashing of the lights I can agree with as a show of frustration. Yes, I understand that. Or I'm about to lap you, get out of the way. I'm not a fan of the lights being flashed as a distraction tactic. I'm not a fan of that personally, but that kind of what I think Maricek is just unhappy with Michael Lehmann on that particular occasion. That one I at least understand. But Stepanovski's like, you carry on fighting, I'm going to run off. And yeah, I can imagine Stepanovski's really feeling the pressure. He's on the verge of a really, really great points haul at this stage. Everyone else seems to have spread out a little bit by this point. Alice Danda, yeah, he's still some... What is he? 3 and a bit seconds ahead of Sirotek. Vizzy's kind of minding his own business. Oh, there is Mr.
Two more
Štefanko.
laps.
It's 2 to go. So that is not the news that Stepanovski wants. He needs a checker back like now. He wants it yesterday. He needs it urgently. As Stefanko's just, he can just coast. He's got nothing to worry about at this stage. 9.5 seconds. With the same gap again to David Přáda. The only thing wrong with that car is the fly collection on the front. That is it. There is not a scratch on there. He's had a flawless race again and is set to make it 3 in a row.
And he's only just going to be lapping Krejci now. And I know we did have a little bit of a safety car period, but Donington is such a short lap, and I really think this just highlights how far VGP has come over the years. Just to see this level of competition, truly incredible. Only one lapped car, I think we're going to have it in this higher race. But here we go. Michael Lehmann up the inside is going to find that position. And he does indeed make his way past Stepanovski, who's going to be down in 8th position. Oh, and he's got Maricek all over the back of him now. I thought for sure, I think Lehmann's going to get him. But I thought he might be able to keep Maricek at bay. But yeah, I think he got a really bad drive coming out of turn 1. Maricek was able to take that apex. He was able to get that great run through turn 3 on the run down towards the old hairpin, and Stepanovski is going to have to settle for 9th position. I think he's got the pace to stay ahead of Urbanchik. I don't think he's going to be slipping down to 10th position, so it is still going to be a season best finish for Stepanovski, and a nice haul of points for Benzina Orlin. But there is Martin Štefanko as the clock ticks down to 0. Eric Vizzy in 4th position. Štefanko, he's been looking fantastic all season long. Right at the start of the season, first race, we weren't so sure. Second race, we weren't so sure. Off the podium at Daytona, but then a couple of wins at Hungary and Spielberg, and it's going to be a 3rd win in a row here at Donington. It's been a while. It's not often that we see 3 wins in a row here at VGP, but Martin Štefanko is going to be set to do that. Just a couple of corners left to navigate. A chicane and 2 hairpins for the ESET driver. I think behind him, the Přáda brothers kind of taking it easy as well. 12 seconds down to Lucas, another 8 seconds down to David, another 15 seconds to outside of the podium positions with Eric Vizzy in 4th position. Martin Štefanko down to the final corner. He goes, and he will be driving his way to the finish line and a 3rd victory. Oh, and that something has happened with Stepanovski. We'll cover that, but it is Štefanko that crosses the line, gets a win. Someone's there to congratulate him in person, thankfully, and he's going to celebrate it. It's going to be Lukáš Přáda who comes across the line in 2nd position. He's unfortunately not going to get any closer to Štefanko as a result of this race, but he is going to be joined by his brother and teammate on the podium, and Sirotek climbed his way back up into 4th position after losing out in the pit stop phase to Eric Vizzy, who returns to the top 5 triumphantly and in a position that we always knew that he would end up back in. Alish Danda in 6th position has actually slipped down. He slipped out of that top 5 down to 6th position. Michael Lehmann is going to recover to 7th, if you can actually believe that. But again, still an incredible points haul. Danda in 6th, hadn't scored so far this season, is going to get on the board in style. Lehmann's going to follow him home in a very difficult race for Michael Lehmann. Lots of incidents for him. Maricek, I think, with his personal best of the season. Yes, that was his personal best of the season inside the top 10. Urbanchik and Bruna finishing the top 10 in a race where we actually only had 12 finishers, Chris, because something happened to Stepanovski.
I bet you he got disqualified for the incident limit as well.
Oh, no.
I bet you that happened to Stepanovski.
Oh, no.
What a great shame. But the podium 3, it's Štefanko again on top, Lukáš Přáda in second, and David Přáda. We don't often see him on the podium, but a well-deserved third spot for the ERT second runner. Martin Štefanko for Eric Vizzi in fifth. Like we said before, great to see him back in the top 5. Aleš Danda, what a return to Benzina for him and to the series as a full-time driver. From 13th to 6th, great effort there. And the tail end of the field, as 14 classified runners, with Kisel Stepanovsky classified 12th, Krejča and Šembera being the remainder. Lukáš Přáda, he's showing his classified as 15th, oddly. So not sure quite what's happened there, but championship-wise, Štefanko extending his gap. Look at the gap between the two Přáda brothers. Now 27 points between the ERT pair. Lukáš Přáda now pushed down to 4th, having not scored this time around, so he didn't, as you said earlier, Justin, did not complete enough of the race to get enough points. Eric Vizzi up to 11th, but look at that, Danda jumps up to 17th, and Stepanovsky, did he score points this time? Yeah, he must have done, because he only scored once before. So remains in 19th, but some well-deserved points for Benzina Ornan this time around.
And everyone now having scored points, which we love to see. It is still ERT, unsurprisingly, with 2 drivers on the podium leading the way. But with Štefanko's win, they're still only 17 points behind the current leaders. And Tropic slipping down, though, 32 points behind ESET after a difficult day today at Donington. That is going to do it for round 5 of the 2022 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP season. For Chris Buxton, myself, all of the drivers, and everyone working behind the scenes, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.